Good morning, everybody. Welcome to This Day. It is Thursday, January 16th. I'm Michael Taylor, your host for the day. We've got a great show for you. Let's talk about it. It's going to be United Mutual Board's going to be in here. Have you been thinking about doing some alterations, some revamp in the kitchen, whatever it might be, replacing some things around the house? Well, over there at United Mutual, they're going to tell us about the renovations, what the board's responsible for, what you're responsible, and a little bit of everything in between. So make sure you stay tuned for that if you're planning any kind of restoration, replacement of appliances, things like that coming up for this year. We want to make sure you get that and you're informed about that. Speaking of being informed, let's stay informed. We got a great one for you. If you got a little pet and you need some vaccinations and licensing and you're maybe out, you haven't got out there and done all that, well, it's coming to us right over here at Clubhouse 1 in the main lounge on Thursday, February 1st from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Dog licenses and vaccinations will be administered by Vet Services, so you can get that done. For more information, make sure you call Laguna Woods, phone number there at the bottom, 949-228-2462. There are some fees for these things, but it's a great service. They're coming right out to us instead of you having to go down to the pound and take care of that down there. They're coming here and going to take care of it for all our residents here. So make sure you get out to Clubhouse 1 on February 1st if you need vaccinations or the license renewal. Let's take a look outside. Best I can tell you today is maybe partly cloudy a little later. It's been mostly cloudy this morning, and that's the best we're going to do. Today's the day to get out there and enjoy a nice, maybe part sunny day, because we're going to start increasing clouds, and we got a chance of rain pretty much all the way through the weekend. In fact, I took the dog out last night, and it had sprinkled. I didn't even notice it, but it was everything was wet. So don't be surprised if we get some sprinkles already between now and Saturday when our chance of rain really starts to roll in. We're going to have 60s over the weekend. It's going to be cool. It's going to be wet. So what can I say? Hopefully we'll have a little bit better weather next week. I'll say it right someday. Here we go. Let's take a look at our sunrise and our sunset. We got a great picture for you from Laguna Beach here by Ben Givens. Really love Ben's shots. He always gets some great stuff for us. Sunrise this morning was 6:55. Sunset tonight, 5:08. And if you'd like to send us a picture, we'd love to see one. You can send us your pets, the places you've gone to, vacation stuff. I showed some of my vacation pictures earlier this week. So whatever you got, send it in to us at Laguna Woods Village TV at gmail.com. Make sure your name is on there, where you took the photo, and we will put it on our sunrise and sunset segment just like we did for Ben. Hey, do you like meetings? Well, today's a good day for you. Take a look at these meetings, and when we come back, we'll be talking to the folks from United Mutual Board. Stay with us.
Hey, beach walkers, grandkid chasers, stair climbers, dance lovers, weekend warriors, and yogis. Your life demands activity, and joint pain shouldn't hold you back. Get personalized joint care that's as unique as you, with high satisfaction rates to prove it. At Memorial Care, your joint replacement patient navigator will be by your side, helping you safely return to more. Like another beach, extra hug, and one more song. More from life is calling with Memorial Care.
Adapt to It, we strive to make the everyday tasks easier by providing our customers with the tools they need to be successful. We carefully explain the use and care of all of our equipment. Adapt to It has been in Laguna Woods for over 20 years, and we know that nothing in life stays constant. So we can help you adapt to all the changes in your life. Adapt to It sells and rents items and always delivers with a smile. Come in today to experience what we mean when we say, when you can't change it, adapt to it.
At Harvard Eye Associates,
we are committed to your vision care
and quality of life.
It's a commitment we don't take lightly.
Our trusted team of doctors provides specialized eye care using state-of-the-art technology.
We deliver what matters to you
and your family.
Harvard Eye Associates, the future of vision today.
Hi, I'm Dan McEachran. 35 years ago, I was lucky enough to get my start in Laguna Woods. First, building patio rooms, then kitchens. Our cabinets are all built locally in Irvine. It all began with patio rooms, like this Majorca model, which we made into a complete room. I'll pull the permits. We'll take care of everything. Give me a call. We'll do a nice job for you.
And welcome back. It's the new year, and some folks are looking to maybe replace some appliances, do some home updates, things like that. Now that the holidays are past and the families have all gone back to where they're supposed to be, we want to welcome Allison Bach and Anthony Liberatore to our program today from United Laguna Woods Mutual Board. And you know, it's not always the easiest thing when you live in an association, especially a co-op and things like that. So welcome to the program.
Thank you.
How do you start off? What's the first thing people need to know when they start thinking about maybe replacing some appliances? A door, air conditioning, things like that?
Well, the main thing is to realize that you're living in a cooperative.
Right.
And unlike condominium or your own home where it's all yours, in a cooperative, certain elements are considered to belong to the co-op and are the responsibility of the co-op to maintain and replace them. So that's a great plus. And when people buy into United as opposed to buying into a condo somewhere or a private home, that's part of their arrangement. That's part of the pricing that they are paying because certain things will be replaced for them. So it's a big plus because, of course, that takes away some of the worry. But on the other hand, you lose some of the control unless you want to take it over. Now, many of our manors have been remodeled over time.
Right, and that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because some people walk in and it's like, well, this has been replaced clearly. This isn't the standard. So where do people go from there? Anthony, you know, have you run into that when people come from, the residents come in and say, hey, what do we do here?
Yeah, we run into that quite a bit. But when people come here, when they close escrow, they're giving documentation, tells them what has been replaced and what is standard. And I know myself, it's a long document, and when you move in, you look at that and you say, yeah, I'll read that later.
Right.
But that's the issue, you know, but it's all there.
Right.
And if you have any questions, if you take that document out and read it, and if you've lost it or misplaced it, like I do a lot of times, call resident services and they'll give you a list.
Right.
And so you'll know what's yours, you know, what's standard and what's not standard.
Right, and let's talk a little bit about the standard and non-standard in terms of like maybe a little how you check that when you close, when people moved in. And again, that list that you might have, you may be in here 5-6 years and say, hey, it's time to replace that refrigerator and you're, what do I do?
Well, here's a list that shows you typical replacements that have been done that are not standard. You have to sort of picture in your mind what things were like in 1964, 1965, late 60s when this was built. So things like the French doors or skylights or, you know, special tub enclosures and so on that have been changed out by somebody in the past. Now, whenever they were changed out, they left the program of being standard, are now non-standard. So this is just a suggested list to get you thinking about, well, what might be non-standard here? But when I want to do something new in my unit, what do I do? I look at that list that I got at closing or call resident services and find out what's left for me.
So the information's in there on that closing report that you got, like you said, the one that Anthony threw away and you can't find.
Exactly.
And so when you walk into a situation like that, and for residents, the question might be, well, does that mean I get no replacement value for that, even though somebody already replaced that and they did it differently? It's non-standard. So that might be one of
that does mean exactly that. You're out, once you're out of the program, you're out of the program forever.
Yes.
No matter whether you did it or somebody did it in 1987. Once it's out, it's out. However, there's a lot of interesting aspects to doing an appliance replacement program. First of all, we have a standard schedule for when things that are in the program should be replaced. And it's really very simple to understand. It's 20 years for everything except the dishwasher, which is 12 years.
Well, let's say somebody wants to opt out of the program and install their own thing. How does that work? What should people be thinking about when it comes to that?
Tony, you want to talk about
Well, if they can buy, they decided they want to buy something, and in my instance, in my manor, My kitchen appliances were all General Electric, and I decided I don't want to go there. I want to get an Amana or something else. I can do that.
Okay.
You know, and without that takes me out of the program. So now the co-op is no longer involved in that, and I pay for everything. And one other thing, when you have the older appliances, you have to give them to the co-op. You can't sell them.
Okay. All right. So for one of the examples we have here is like an oven, oven color, and oven hood, and that one, right? And so let's say I say to myself, I think I want to go for the 5-burner, whatever, mega one.
Yeah.
Is there still? Are you still going to be able to get that $1,100 option in there?
Most likely.
Yeah.
Most likely, you can get some kind of a credit back because
Right.
once you leave the program, of course, as Tony said, that responsibility has left the co-op's balance sheet.
Right.
So it's no more than fair that somebody who's opting out gets some sort of a credit back.
Right.
And there will be a process that you go through. It's fully disclosed and exact
Right.
financially to get a credit back.
And so then Tony does the oven, and he's there for 10 years.
Right.
He decides he's moving on, going
Right.
somewhere else to live. Then
Yeah.
when the new buyer comes in, they'll get that. Oh, your oven is not part of this. They'll have that
Correct.
information.
They
so
will know that,
there's
yeah.
clarity there that that's
Right.
all on them.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
And I just
Yeah.
replaced, in my manner, I just replaced my stovetop and my oven. They were original GE products.
Wow.
From 1960
Yeah.
something or other.
And the knobs weren't working, and the clock wasn't working, and it would buzz when it wasn't supposed to
It was
buzz.
time.
So, and I opted for stainless steel. And so the co-op replaced that for me. There had to be some, and because I guess a different shape or whatever, they sent an electrician out and a carpenter and placed that in there. And with no problem. And all I did, I went to resident services and checked, and they found out, yes, you're still in the system, and we will replace it. However, don't get upset because they have to order the stuff. It's not in our warehouse.
Right, right.
And in my case, it took 60 days. And it wasn't the staff's fault or our fault. It was getting the material from GE or wherever we still deal with.
So it's better than the supply chain problems we're having a little while back, where it was 7-8 months for an oven to come in, right?
Yeah.
Now, Laguna Woods Mutual, they have this in the budget. This is something you guys have set aside. So talk a little bit about what you have set aside in terms of replacements for these things in the budget for the fiscal year.
It's a big number every year because there are a lot of appliances and features of units that are still in program. So this year, in 2024, we have $3.4 million set aside in the from reserves in our capital budget to replace items that are due for replacement. So things like cooktops, we've got $70,000 allocated there. The biggest one is for countertops and floors. Again, these are large areas that might need replacement, and it's a category of materials that has gone up significantly in cost in recent years.
Inflation has really pushed those up.
Yes, it has. Refrigerators, $220,000, so on. So when you look at this list, $3.4 million, and this occurs year after year after year, and depending on the lifespan of appliances that we know are in service. So if you are entitled to a replacement and you want a replacement, it's up to you to raise your hand and say, hey, it's time.
Yeah. There's a responsibility on those folks for that. So most of these items, in terms of their serviceable life, is about 20 years, except for dishwashers.
20 years, yes. 20 years for everything except dishwashers. Dishwashers are 12 years.
Right.
Okay.
Now, how do you know? How do you know when it was installed? Now, some appliances will have a date on the sticker, somewhere on the appliance, if you look in the, either in the door frame or somewhere. Or you can call resident services and ask and give them a chance to look it up and see when it was installed. Now, some people actually don't want a favorite appliance replaced. They say, I love my stove, I know how it works.
It's working great, I've had it for 30 years. Like Tony, he had it since the dawn of time.
And the knobs are falling off.
So it's up to the owner to make that contact and
Yeah,
say,
hit that mark and hey, it's time.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
it's looking like it might be. And the fees, the way you guys get the money is the fees we charge the residents here, right?
Correct.
And
That's where it comes
is it a little
from.
higher, or a little lower than the average in the community? Is it higher because of the fact that you have so much of replacement going on in the
I'm
co-op?
not sure what you're asking, Michael.
Oh, I guess like in terms of a monthly, is it for
Oh, no.
when people come into the co-op, is it a little bit more expensive because of the fact that the co-op replaces it?
No, it is not. No,
Terrific.
our homeowners assessments every month are very, very reasonable, and in fact are much lower than other condominium associations that we could name, but we won't.
Okay, okay, good. Let's not call anybody out on this one. So how do we do the cost calculations? How did residents start getting involved in making this process happen?
Well, first of all, you decide what you want to do.
Right.
And look around and decide whether it's going to be a big scale remodel or just an appliance replacement.
Now for you, Tony, like what
Yeah.
did you just looked at yours and you said your stove recently? You said I'm just doing the stove, nothing else.
Yeah, right, just doing the stove. I decided to do the stove because the knobs are falling off, the clock didn't work and all that. So I went to resident services. And again, I couldn't find my list from escrow, but they have a list there. And they say, yes, you do qualify for that. Now, I opted, because of pressure from my wife, to get stainless instead of the black and the white.
right.
Yeah, I got stainless. And the big issue, a lot of people would get upset because it took so long. Well, it wasn't our fault it was that they had to get the material in, ordered it from someplace, and it took 60 days. But other than that, the system worked fine for me. And the only other thing that happened, we had, in my manor, I'm in the ground floor. Above me, there's another manor, and a pipe in between us broke. So it flooded out my kitchen and our eating area there. I guess you call it a breakfast room, I don't know. But anyway, they replaced everything, but the floor where we ate was designed with rug originally. It was wall-to-wall carpeting.
Okay.
But
that was the style.
But the people who took it over from me had put hardwood floors in. So the company, the co-op, gave me the value of what it would cost me to replace a rug, not hardwood floor. So that's the way that works. So somebody put the hardwood floor, and that means it's out of the system, right? And they're not responsible, but they did give me an allowance that would reflect what it would cost to replace a rug.
Okay. Well, that makes it's a little it's better than nothing,
fair.
right?
Yeah.
It's fair. It's a fair.
You have to be fair to everyone
Right.
in calculating these amounts of money.
Right, and there's a standard.
Yeah. Right, there
now, when we
is.
talk about replacement, I want to make sure everybody understands. You guys aren't calling anybody.
Correct.
It's the residents that have to make
Correct.
that first move, right?
Right.
So when is it your turn is kind of like the time to figure these things out, right? You'll not be called for replacement, so people have to be proactive, right?
They do. We just don't have staff time, and available to be making those outbound calls. But of course, if an appliance isn't working, you have to call for repair. If it can't be repaired, it'll be replaced, even though it's maybe not quite time yet. So you can look up installation dates jointly with resident services, make an appointment for when someone will come and replace, be ready to participate. In other words, be on time, keep your appointment, put the dog and the cat in in a quiet area so they don't interfere with the installers. And just be ready to have the work done.
Right.
So that's
sometimes
important.
Sometimes it's going to be repaired. Like it's not quite yet time for replacement, and it can be repaired.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So
and
it's
that's our responsibility as well.
Right. So that can be repaired. So somebody might say, "Well, I just like to replace it. Can we just replace it?" And that's like, actually, no, it's not required yet. Right. So there's that.
Yeah, but if you want to pay a little extra, that can be arranged.
Okay.
If you want to stay in, and so there will be a crediting back and forth.
And so resident services is the best place to start in terms of making sure that gets
if
done.
you can't
right?
find that document from escrow that showed all the alterations. Tony's talking about his unit. In my unit, which had been remodeled extensively, I only have 2 original elements, the garbage disposal and the hot water heater. So everything else is all mine if I want to replace anything.
Mm-hmm. And so where would you think the best places for folks to start if they're looking around their house and saying, I'm not sure? It's really that list, right?
It's that list, and it's also getting inspiration, I think. We all can go to showrooms and look at state-of-the-art bathrooms and kitchens and so on. And sometimes people get very excited to do a complete remodel, and then get your concept first, and get a contractor and find out what it's going to cost.
Right.
And then these other elements will all sort of fall into place.
One thing though to
alterations.
remember though is that if you're going to do that, get a contract.
Yeah, must have.
Even if it's your brother-in-law or your sister-in-law,
Right.
get a contract, then you'll remain friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's talk about like a full remodel, because people do that. Hey, I'm blowing out walls, I'm doing all of that. Is that a time where they can say, okay, well, here's one that's 20, here's one that, and that's kind of like the big bill comes, and they put in for everything, and then they get through. Even if they're going to, like I said, do the upgraded kitchen that isn't qualified, they'll still have that maybe a little bit of a kind of a good check coming in terms of that kind of thing, right?
We see it all the time.
Yes, yes.
And what part of the process, if I'm the remodeler, I've got my contractor, I got my design. At what point in the process do I come to the board or come to resident services and say, I'd like to apply for the compensation I'm due?
Well, what I would do, we have a tremendous website. If they go on our website, Laguna Woods Village, and then you go to Documents, click on Documents, and then pan down, and there's a section for architectural control standards. There's 44 of them there. And I seriously recommend to eliminate agita and getting yourself upset. Go through those 44 and you'll find out a lot of information. Then you get yourself lined up and come into resident services, and it'll be really a smooth, positive experience. But when you're not prepared, you come in, oh, you didn't do this right, or you need to do that. Look at those 44 standards. There's one there for balconies, there's for rugs, there's for everything there.
Right.
And they'll answer a lot of questions and get you started. So that's a good place to start if you're thinking about doing something. Now, in my case, I don't think about doing anything. It's my wife.
She starts with
She knows
what the
elbow.
kitchen's called.
Yeah, I don't like this anymore.
What would you say are there maybe some residents come to you and they talk about the common mistakes? What should they avoid doing when they've come, I thought I could do this, and you have to tell them the hard way. What are some of the ones that kind of stand out to you guys?
Do-it-yourselfers, right, Tony?
Yeah, because there's a lot of things. These buildings built 60 years ago, and in a lot of cases there's some asbestos in there.
Right.
So
right. You don't want to be opening up walls, or especially ceilings, right?
And you don't
the
know.
Floors.
How do you know there's asbestos? How do you know it's been purged, or popcorn ceilings, So that's why you should really do a little, we have a tremendous website with a big, huge database, and get yourself oriented before that. And you'll be a little more careful what you could possibly run into, especially when you're digging up a floor or a wall. Or taking down popcorn ceilings.
And for some of that, there's a permitting process. Of the do-it-yourselfers make that mistake, right?
There certainly is. And the permit comes from the city, not from the mutual.
So everybody tells you, go back to square one and start over again.
And sometimes people have had to rip stuff right out because it wasn't permitted, it wasn't done properly. And and there's a cost, like, oh, I thought I was doing this on the cheap. I got my brother to do it. He's a handyman.
And another thing, if you do something like that, and you didn't get a permit and didn't tell anybody, when you go to sell the place, you're going to have problems. Because when they come in and find out,
the inspection happens then.
Yeah.
And there are inspections along the way, and especially that asbestos before and after. Right under the floors, if you've got original linoleum or plank flooring, the black mastic underneath that sticks it together does contain asbestos.
Okay, so that's something to be really mindful
because
of.
people, I need a new floor. You might be smarter to lay a new floor over the old one rather than dig up that old floor and expose that asbestos to the air.
Okay, well, Anthony, Allison, thank you so much for coming in. United
Michael.
Mutual, make sure those alterations are done correctly, folks.
All right.
All right, thanks for coming in.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Michael.
Take care.
You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.
Barclay Theater is your home for the best in live entertainment. Here's what's coming up next. For tickets and information, visit thebarclay.org.
The Salvation Army Orange County is committed to building hope in people's lives rather than just more shelters. The Center of Hope, a comprehensive homeless care solution, combines a 325-bed emergency shelter, 72 permanent supportive housing apartments, on-site medical, dental, vision, and mental health care, and an award-winning drug and alcohol rehabilitation center. Donate today to transform lives, create safer neighborhoods, and provide an opportunity to end chronic homelessness in Orange County.
If you're driven by an adventurous heart, you're in luck. The 2024 Subaru Outback shares your spirit. With standard symmetrical all-wheel drive and up to 32 miles per gallon. Plus, 97% of Outback vehicles sold in the last 10 years are still on the road today. The 2024 Subaru Outback. Go where love takes you.
Irvine Subaru. Buy online, just come in to sign. Get 2 years complimentary maintenance included on all new Subarus.
Before we go, let's talk movies. We got a great Friday movie coming up from. I never heard of this movie. I never knew about this relationship. This is an interesting one. It's Victoria and Abdul, starring Judi Dench. It's brought to us by Hogue, and it's going to be on at 2 p.m. with subtitles, 6 p.m. without the subtitles. It's a British historical film about the real-life relationship between Queen Victoria of the kingdom, United Kingdom, and her Indian Muslim servant Abdul Karim. It sounds like a very interesting story. It's a true biopic, and I've never heard of it before, so that was an interesting one. I want to watch that one myself, so make sure that's your Friday movie. And then on Saturday we're going to stay in England. It's the King Arthur: Legend of the Sword, starring Charlie Hunnam, and that's brought to us by Saddleback Memorial Care. It's going to be on at 2 p.m. with subtitles and 6 p.m. without the subtitles. It's kind of an alternate version of the story. It's a reimagining of the story. Arthur is a boy, left an orphan, and he pulls his sword out and he becomes the king. And it's a rivalry with the king, and who is the current king, and Arthur, and so it kind of plays out. But it's a little bit of an alternate storytelling there, so that should be a fun one as well on Saturday. Let's take a quick check of the weather before we head out. And those clouds there, that's about the best we're going to do in terms of the rest of the week. Partly cloudy for today. Then we got increasing clouds. Don't be surprised if we get some sprinkles between now and Saturday when the real rain chance hits us. And then Sunday and Monday going to be lots of rain, and stay tuned for that wet weekend. That's going to do it for this edition of This Day. For all of us here at Village Television, we hope you make this day a great one.
Hi there, I'm Bob Eubanks. Remember me? I'm the king of whoopee. And you're watching Village Television. But everybody does.